A great many of us consider 2020 the worst year in human history, but not everyone knows what it was like to live in 1816. The world was almost completely plunged into darkness after the volcanic eruption, and all life slowly began to die. Crops were destroyed, animals had nothing to eat, new diseases appeared because of starvation, to say nothing of the other consequences. The thing is that the sun couldn't penetrate the dust and the clouds, and there was no spare sun back then. Yes, now, the problem of 1816 wouldn't be a disaster for us, and here's why. Today, you'll learn how you can smell fresh gasoline from a Parisian bakery while remaining in a New York office, whether there's a way to communicate with a dead person, and why intelligence is the only hope for humanity in the fight against disease. Let's go. Take a good look at this guy. Do you notice anything? Does he look normal? Or if you feel uncomfortable, it's okay. This experience is called the Uncanny Valley effect. Your brain realizes that it's not a real person in front of you. It's just a cool silicone mask. But it's so over-realistic, especially when the lips and cheeks start to move. I personally immediately feel uncomfortable, and it seems to be a perfectly human look, but it's kind of wrong. If you catch that feeling, you can't get rid of it no matter how hard you try. The Uncanny Valley effect occurs when a robot or other object that looks roughly like a human causes disaffection in observers. That is, an industrial robot is normal, and cartoon characters portraying a living, healthy human being is okay too. But there's a gap in between, with zombies and all sorts of humanoid robots with skin. However, the Uncanny Valley effect only works with humanoid creatures. Hardly anyone was frightened when scientists created the robot Vladimira. First, because Vladimira are practically extinct, and second, it's just a fish. It's just a fish with glowing eyes who knows what you would look like if you were a living fossil. Or look at those robo-birds and robo-butterflies. The only thing the latter can scare you with is their size. Otherwise, they're just drones with unusual functionality and no valleys. But let's be honest, the masks certainly look really cool, sort of fish and birds in general. But what use are they? What's the practical point? Just to surprise people? Realistic organs? That's another matter. They're really useful, even when they're used just for the training of doctors. Wait, this kind of training opportunity could very well take medicine to the next level. Doctors at the University of Rochester Medical Center have developed a way to make artificial organs that are as similar to real ones as possible. They even bleed when cut. These models will help create very realistic simulations for training or to rehearse difficult cases before surgery. It's not like doctors have spare patients to check in advance, like to see exactly how the surgery will go. But okay, there are more obvious uses for realistic organs. About 26 million people worldwide suffer from heart failure, while donor hearts are in dire short supply. So why not make them? The soft artificial heart was created from silicone using 3D printing, and it imitates a real human organ as closely as possible in shape and function. It even looks identical, although for now it can only serve as a temporary substitute. But it seems that in a little while, it'll be possible to print entire body parts. Scientists are already moving in that direction and seem to be able to create some kind of ear or a patient's nose using the patient's own cells along with a special gel. I mean, they just print the human ear. Honestly, the possibilities of modern technology sometimes make my head spin. But if you're in any way unimpressed by artificially created organs, here is a discovery that everyone can understand. Artificially created meat, the same meat that's grown in a test tube. Just imagine that the scientists did something wrong and now they have a whole steak in a petri dish. In an ideal world, such meat would be just as tasty, but healthier, and its production would save the environment. Yes, by the way, cows have a serious impact on the amount of greenhouse gases, and the more people eat conventional meat, the worse the situation is. Plus, no animal exploitation, and the ability to feed all the hungry again. Why haven't we switched to artificial meat burgers yet? Unfortunately, no artificial organs or tissues can bring a person back from the dead, but it's possible to meet the dead, though it's an incredibly difficult emotional experience that not everyone can handle. In South Korea, developers have recreated the image of a girl named Nyan in virtual reality. She died of leukemia when she was 7 years old, and Nyan's mother couldn't cope with her loss, even after a long time. But technology allowed them to meet again. The documentary team spent more than 8 months recreating the girl in detail in VR. Her appearance, her voice, her facial expressions at the moment of the meeting. The woman put on a VR helmet and was given special gloves to be able to feel tactile sensations, and speech synthesis allowed them to talk. And it wasn't that long ago that such technology seemed as unrealistic as, I don't know, a Princess Leia hologram in Star Wars.
You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan.
You can see them not only at some concerts, but also purchase them for your own living room. On the one hand, why do you need holograms? But on the other hand, how cool does it look?
You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan.
Vuxon Photonics has developed a special display that allows you to create a wide variety of three-dimensional images floating in the air. It's an illusion, of course, based on flicker frequency, human perception, and blah 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 blah. Never mind, but I happen to know that the company is already developing a holographic video phone in which the camera transmits an image of the other party and creates a talking figure out of life. So all that's left is to put it all in some droid there as well, or donate the display to the local circus. By the way, animal holograms are the future. The famous German circus Roncalli has been using them since March 2019. With the help of 11 projectors, three-dimensional animals are released into the arena, and it seems that absolutely everyone is delighted, spectators and animal advocates alike. But you've probably heard of this practice. In fact, it seems that after the digital resurrection of the dead, you just can't find anything more fantastic, except for maybe the artificial sun. In the 19th century, the lack of solar heat and light nearly destroyed our planet. But what can people do at that time except hope very hard that it would one day be over? In the 21st century, we have much more opportunities to withstand natural disasters, even on this scale. While the world was struggling to believe that life would somehow get better, when 2020 ended, South Korea set a record with an artificial sun for 20 seconds. The temperature of its plasma was over 180 million degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, the Korean sun looks a little like a huge red hot ball hanging over our heads. Rather, it looks like something between the Large Hadron Collider and a brewery. But in the future, it's a potentially unlimited source of renewable energy that could change all our lives and maybe even help colonize other planets. Who knows? Maybe by then, scientists will have finally figured out the hoverboard, conquered disease, set up a working teleport system, and they'll certainly have perfected a device that allows you to smell things over the internet. Just imagine the possibility, not only to see an image and hear the sound, but to smell what's happening on the other side of the earth. All you need is an app and a small device with a small library attached to your cell phone through the headphone jack. Yeah, the owners of the latest iPhone models will obviously have a problem. It's a pity they haven't learned how to transmit smells directly yet, but you can give someone fresh air straight from the Canadian mountains or the English countryside collected in a bottle or in a can. And honestly, at first I thought it was some kind of prank, but no such products actually exist or are even popular in particularly polluted metropolitan areas there. Residents are willing to pay to breathe. Wow, yes. While some other people are constructing Mars rovers, others are literally selling air. And while the latter is a bit absurd, buying a can of fresh air is more realistic than going to distant stars. What do you think your chances are of one day being in space? Actually, pretty decent. If you don't bother with the details, you can practically be in space without even going into orbit. You just need to use the right terms and watch your head. All you have to do is take a zero-gravity flight, which will provide you with a state of weightlessness. It's believed that each session of weightlessness lasts about 30 seconds and is repeated 15 times. This kind of pleasure is clearly designed for people who don't get nausea on a plane. But really, if you think about it, even the richest and most famous people in the world today can't just take a flight into space, because such a trip requires not only a lot of money, but also serious training, plus good health. On the other hand, everyone can experience weightlessness if they want. Even Stephen Hawking, who devoted his life to the study of space, tested zero gravity, and he was satisfied.
I was Superman for those few minutes.
And surely, Hawking knew everything about it, although what did he not know? If you've seen at least one interview, you probably noticed that the scientist had an answer to almost any question. For example, Hawking believed that the appearance of full-fledged artificial intelligence could be the end of the human race if we overdo it, if we create something more intelligent than ourselves.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
The good news is that judging by the workings of neural networks, we're not yet in danger of a machine uprising. And also, even today, science, including artificial intelligence, is capable of fantastic things. For example, scientists were able to give paralyzed people back their ability to move. So far, we're only talking about controlling fingers, hands, and wrists. But this is already a huge breakthrough, and the technology itself seems almost insane. Surgery, a chip in the brain, and a special transmitter on the cranium, a wire fire coming from the head and then long training. And finally, the ability to control the hands with your mind. Sounds like something from science fiction. If you don't think about the fact that we actually do it all the time, we can do amazing things because of the power of the human brain. And we can turn many branches of medicine, such as prosthetics, upside down. Conventional prostheses are most often uncomfortable and even painful, causing many people to stop using them. But today, they're devices that do more than just replace a limb. They're controlled by our minds. You could say it's a robotic arm that is surgically attached to the bone, muscles, and nerves. Implanted electrodes pick up brain signals and allow people to move, feel, and use the new limb almost as easily as the last one. Alright, finally, listen to this. In 2016, IBM's Watson supercomputer, equipped with an artificial intelligence system, created a trailer for the movie Morgan about artificial intelligence at the request of 20th Century Fox Movie Company. I hope it doesn't get any ideas from it, because it's a horror movie. See you later.